And precisely after the massacre carried out by Israeli genocidal forces that deliberately targeted and killed 5 journalists working outside the Al-Adwa hospital, we contact our colleague Huda Kegasi with all the information from the ground.
Once again, the Israeli army has committed another atrocious massacre, but this time not against the civilian population, but against the journalists, the workers of the media. This morning, at 1:30, the occupation army bombed the civilian bus belonging to the Palestinian Al-Quds channel. Inside, there were at least 5 journalists, as well as cameras and various media materials. As we can see, the vehicle has been completely destroyed. The attack even occurred directly targeting them. This bus was parked in front of Al-Adwa Hospital, which is the only hospital that is active in Al-Nusrat's central government. As we can see, there is literally no trace of the car. These 5 journalists have been completely burned. There is not even a trace of them. We can say that right now, the occupation army has sent a clear message, and that is that there are no red lines. It has attacked these journalists directly and intentionally, increasing the number of journalists killed to 201 during this genocidal Israeli war. And as we can see, the Israeli army has no red lines. Even when this car was parked in front of this hospital, it was directly bombed by the Israeli army. Now we will speak with our colleague Mahmoud Allo, who was here in this hospital at the time of the incident, so that he can tell us exactly what happened.
As usual, during the journalistic work at this point, we have at the Al-Adwa hospital a point of journalistic coverage. At around 1:30 a.m., the Israeli occupation forces shelled the hospital and we woke up to the sound of a loud explosion. We saw the fire burning through the vehicle, and inside were 5 journalists who worked for the Al-Quds TV network. We were surprised to see the bodies completely burned and charred. We were unable to save them or get them out of the car, until the firemen arrived and put out the fire. The scene was frightening. And the Israeli army knows very well this was a journalist vehicle that is very easy to set apart for its press banners. Inside were cameras and material, and everything has been destroyed. This is not the first massacre. Last week the army murdered our comrade Ahmad al-Lou. And before that, other 196 journalists. We are now talking about more than 200 dead journalists, and a large number of journalists have also been wounded at this war for the mere fact of working in Gaza.
What is your message in the face of this continuous attack against the press?
Our message is clear. And it's directed at the international community and all the human rights organizations on the necessity of pressuring Israel to stop this war on the Gaza Strip that is targeting civilians, children as well as journalists. And the need to protect the Palestinian journalists. We have no weapons, we only have this helmet that has been burnt by the Israeli actions. We ask for protection for the journalists and sanctions to Israel for their war crimes.
As our colleague has just assured us, the Israeli regime was perfectly aware that in this vehicle there were journalists. They also knew that it was being used for the journalist work, and it still targeted it directly in the first hours of the morning. Also, as our comrade has assured us, the images were dreadful. The victims were completely burnt due to the fire set off by the bombing, and, therefore, the message, after over 14 months, is that the Israeli regime is deliberately attacking journalists. They do not want us to continue doing our job. And that is why the message today from all Gazan journalists is that we will continue doing our job. We will continue with our work of transmitting to the world, and what we ask for is international protection. We are just doing our job, and we want to do it safely, with a sense of security that we sadly do not have. And our fear is that at any given moment we could be the next ones murdered by the Israeli army.
Asesinados por parte del ejército de Israel.